Hi, good
Hello.
morning, everyone.
Morning.
Yeah, hi, Datuk. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to e-Invoicing and the Future of Digital Malaysia. Um, just a couple of housekeeping. Before we continue, we would like to thank you all, first of all, for taking the time to participate in this session. We're thrilled to have you with us. Just move to one slide. Let me quickly go over some housekeeping items. I'm sorry. Is there some feedback? Okay. Let me quickly go over some housekeeping items. Your microphone will remain on listen-only mode throughout the session. You can post questions in the chat at any point in the conversation. And finally, we'll be recording this session for training purposes. Now, let me introduce our panelists. First panel member is a man whose name is synonymous with innovation and digital transformation in Malaysia. We have with us the former CEO of MDEC and someone who has been instrumental in shaping Malaysia's digital economy initiatives, Datuk Mahathir Aziz. Datuk's extensive experience in strategy, governance, and innovation makes him a driving force behind Malaysia's global competitiveness in technology and digital solutions. We are honored to have him share his time, and we look forward to his invaluable insights today. Welcome, Datuk. Our second panelist is a compliance automation evangelist and the global CEO of Perennial Systems. We have with us Paresh Bafna. Paresh brings 2 decades of entrepreneurial and leadership experience and has transformed Perennial into a trusted partner for CFOs and finance leaders across industries. His mission of transforming nations through compliance automation resonates deeply with businesses. Navigating complex regulatory landscapes, Paresh's strategic foresight and hands-on leadership have positioned him as a thought leader in the compliance technology domain. Welcome, Paresh. Now I'm pleased to announce a third panel member, Nilesh Bafna. Nilesh is the Global Chief Technology Officer of Perennial Systems, where he leads technology innovation, product engineering, and digital transformation for enterprises and startups alike. With 20 years of experience in the IT and software services industry, Nilesh is a champion of building scalable, future-ready solutions for businesses. His expertise spans cutting-edge technologies, including cloud computing, DevOps, and AI-driven platforms, making him a true visionary in delivering impactful and efficient solutions. Welcome, Nilesh. Finally, I would like to introduce our moderator for this session, Rahul Dev Swankar. Rahul is a seasoned leader with nearly 20 years of global experience in digital transformation and compliance automation for enterprises. Rahul brings a unique blend of technical expertise and market knowledge. As a thought leader passionate about leveraging technology for business efficiency, Rahul's work has been pivotal in helping organizations stay ahead in an ever-changing regulatory and digital landscape. Welcome, Rahul.
Thanks.
I hope you find this panel session informative and insightful. And now, without further ado, let me hand it over to Rahul to continue this session. Over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. And good morning, Malaysia and everyone. Hello, am I audible? Okay, so let me first start with giving the brief background about Malaysia e-Invoice rollout, and then we'll take it up ahead from here about the future of e-Invoice, right, as per the agenda of this webinar. So if you see Malaysia rollout phase 1, which started in 1st August 24, then phase 2 is supposed to start in 1st January 25, phase 3, 1st July 25. But all of these phases have got 6 months of extension, as we all know, right? And during the process itself, there are a couple of verticals like healthcare, banking and insurance. They have already got the extension. So healthcare got the mandate is starting from 1st of April 25. But for banking and insurance, the mandate is supposed to start from 1st August 25, right? But while these mandates and the phases are going on, there are already a couple of achievements and update has already been achieved, and it has been listed by the LSDN. And let me go through some of the facts. So, for example, as of today, as per LSDN, around 5,300 companies are actively submitting invoicing. That's second stat is approximate 40% taxpayer which falls under phase 2 and phase 3. They have already implemented invoices on a voluntary basis, even though their mandate timelines are not achieved. One of the reasons is LSDN giving them the grant for phase 3 filers up to 50,000 ringgit for making the early compliance, right, on voluntary basis. And as of today, approximately 133 million invoices are getting submitted by the taxpayer from all these 3 phases, which has been highlighted here. So having explained the current scenario, right? So my question goes to our Datuk Mahathir, who is the as introduced by my colleague, right? Is the ex-CEO. So let's understand first the regulatory side of the big story, right? So Datuk, this question is specifically for you. What was the MDEC vision for invoice mandate, and how you see it is getting translated into the post-implementation, right? Your view, Datuk.
Thanks, Rahul. I think I'm having problems actually. Honestly, just
So,
seeing
Datuk, you're on mute.
No, I'm not. Am I?
No, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, Datuk. Now.
Okay. So thanks, Rahul. Again, first of all, for inviting me to this webinar, specifically organized by Perennial. Very much, I think, touching on 2 major topics. One would be digital transformation, and 2 specifically, as shown on the slide, very much on e-invoicing as well. Again, I think the journey for Malaysia to go towards e-invoicing started quite some time back. I think as far back as maybe 2018, that MDEC originally mooted the idea or concept rather, and during COVID, no less, I was talking to LHDN already and thinking and trying to actually do that. So again, as you can appreciate, there are 2 authorities, or rather there was only one authority with regards to tax, and especially on indirect tax, that is LHDN or the Internal Revenue Board, IRB. So they are looking at ways to actually get this and really look at areas where we can reduce the leakages, we can cover the shadow economy, and also enlarge the tax base, so to speak, in Malaysia. So coming back to MDEC's mandate and where we are looking at is very much on the digital transformation. MDEC is the agency for developing digital economy and therefore leading the digital transformation for Malaysia as well. So we have always been on the lookout for any initiative that will encourage, that will push, that would basically nudge the people or the rakyat, as Malaysians would use it, and also businesses with regards to any digitalization or digitization of their businesses, daily lives, and also operations and interactions with the government as a whole. Back then, we have an agency called Mampu that would look at the government digital transformation and computerization as well. So again, this basically multiple aspects and multiple agencies in Malaysia are working hand in hand with regards to digitalization. So again, the original mandate for MDEC is to look at and make use of the national e-invoicing program, which then was elevated as we launch it into a catalytic project under the Malaysia Digital, or in other words, is commonly referred to as Pemangkin MD today. Pemangkin is a literal translation of catalytic and catalyst rather, and Malaysia Digital is the umbrella initiative for digital transformation in Malaysia. So again, I'm looking at the timeline, and I know there's a bit of hiccups in terms of making it compulsory for businesses for phase 2 to actually do this. I'm sure the agencies, I'm already out of MDEC now. I'm sure the agencies are already working towards enlarging and onboarding the size of companies and the number of companies onto the e-invoicing platform. Just a bit of an MDEC. What we wanted to do then was to also base this on an international standard. That is to allow Malaysian companies also to be in compliance with international e-invoicing countries where they are participating, especially when they are exporting or importing as well. So that's when back in 2022, we signed up as a member of PayPal, the tax authority, the global tax authority, of which Malaysia is now a member, and MDEC is the sole representative and official representative of Malaysia with regards to e-invoicing. So what we ended up with is that we have the tax authority in the form of LHDN, and we have the e-invoicing authority in MDEC. So Malaysia is well suited up to do this and implement this. It's just the the execution and the rolling out that we have to ensure that that happens. So again, I'll stop there without explaining too much. Is that okay?
Yeah, that was inspiring to know, and congratulations for such an Herculean task, right? But in the process, you mentioned, right, there were some hiccups which you have encountered, right? So I just
Yep.
wanted to know, can you provide some specific examples on the regulatory challenges front? What MDEC or you, as leading this MDEC team, would have faced, right? If you can contextualize and give some example for our audience, that will give them other
Well,
side of the picture. Yeah.
I think the understanding of the standards was a bit, I think, mixed, if I can say. There's a side of the industry and including the government as well, who thought that PayPal is a system, and therefore why are we awarding this to a company that provides this PayPal system, whereas PayPal is just a framework for e-invoicing. It is vendor neutral, vendor agnostic, and it's a standard and a framework. So that conversation, I think, initially, even with LHDN, was trying to understand what's the difference between the standards that Malaysia is trying to come up with all this field, the number of input fields that we have to get on the invoice and record on the invoice versus what PayPal requires and things like that. So that was actually one of the initial conversations that we have to correct and ensure that the government and government agencies understands that. And then second part, again, is basically the ripple effect of that somewhat misalignment of understanding. Was that then the industry thinks, oh, okay, if I'm on SAP, should I switch over to PayPal system? So it takes on a life on its own that I think over time through many consultation sessions led by LHDN and some led by ourselves, MDEC, and also together with the industry associations, all the way down to the SME associations to ensure that the understanding is there, the intent is clear, and the authorities' role with respect to e-invoicing and digitalization is also clear, so that they know who to talk to and they know who to approach to if they have any issues with regards to being onboarded, trying to have a sense of awareness, the training, and also the actual implementation of e-invoicing and how they can be compliant with the regulations that has been put out. The second part that MDEC took on was that we actually gave out validation or accreditation to some companies where they can be the service PayPal service providers and also what do you call that, the ones that can adapt and adopt the systems to be able to do this. So there's two sites of accreditation provided by MDEC, two companies, including perennial systems as well, to ensure that the customers, the industry out there, when they think about going into and being onboarded into e-invoicing, they can go with trusted, proven companies. And these are not your smaller companies who do not have the qualifications, who might oversell on what they can do and have had no certifications or experience before that. So again, this is very, very important for the industry to know that they are dealing with the right authorities, and they refer to the people who have done it before, not only in Malaysia, but also overseas as well. And that would be a good reference. And there's always MDEC that they can go to with regards to e-invoicing. And there's also always LHDN that they can go to with regards to compliance.
Fantastic, Datuk, for such enlightenment. You partially covered part 3 of my question, actually, right?
Okay.
While exploring the regulatory front. But I wanted to specifically understand more from the enterprise level challenges, right? As you have said, like a couple of counseling sessions which you had to arrange, but still, when we go and read in the media, right, Malaysia, there was some of the challenges which they have highlighted. No, like there's lack of awareness still. We want, and then the extension also has happened. So, what are the industry specific challenges? What are the company or enterprise level challenges, right? And what and how they're bringing to you as MTech, right, to get it resolved? And where you think, as you have partially covered, like you brought the finest of the service provider, but then how you have routed all of these through service providers, how you have helped them resolving their queries. If you can throw some light from enterprise perspective on this same topic.
From an enterprise perspective, okay, the large multinational enterprises obviously are the ones that has had to actually comply as of August last year. So, and the volume of transactions that they do, and therefore the number of e-invoices that they would use would basically push them towards direct integration with the tax authority, which is LHDN. So that part has been covered quite well. There have been, I think, numerous testing that has been done back and forth between LHDN and also the respective companies. In Malaysia, if I can cite one example, I think Petronas would be one of them. That has not been I think initially they had some challenges. There was slow response or whatever it is, but eventually everything worked out well, as I was I think informed as far back as November of last year. But as you start to go to the second tier and the third tier, and this is where things get a bit I think fuzzy. They want to be able to see how they can integrate with LHDN. Some would prefer to actually do direct integration, but that requires a bit more investment on their side. But some would rely on companies that can help modify and change slightly on the accounting systems, and also the connectivity with an API that LHDN has. So technically, that's essentially how they do things. We do deploy the if I'm not mistaken, the 5-point and 4-point turnaround for e-invoices and records to be created and transacted within the PayPal framework. And then LHDN obviously has also offered for even the smallest, the micro enterprises, to use a free web portal where they can submit the e-invoices in bulk. So I think LHDN has taken quite a progressive approach. More can be done, obviously, as we elaborate and we expand the coverage of e-invoicing in transactions, and as people get to understand that we are not just surrendering information, but you're getting to do more things. And this is, I think, the beauty of going digital and undergoing a digital transformation. So, and we spoke about this. Companies like even Perennial, and I would like to declare that I'm also on the board of Perennial here, was that there are other offerings with regards to digital transformation and digitalization of businesses that can be utilized by companies as they go and embark on a digital transformation journey. So this allows for more kinds of transaction, more kinds of functions that can go digital, that can help enterprises ease up on how they are doing their business and how they are leveraging technology in terms of getting their revenues and profits targets achieved.
Thanks, Datuk, for sharing such wonderful insights from regulatory as well as the enterprise front. So now, let me go to the Mr. Paresh. So, Paresh, as Datuk has said, what as a regulator MDEC is doing, how LSDN is contributing in this entire process, right? And how they have identified the credible service providers like Perennial and others, right? So the entire journey has highlighted by Datuk. So I wanted to understand from your global expertise, right? And what are the key challenges, according to you and your experience, enterprise face in adopting e-Invoice solution, and how Perennial or service providers, other service providers typically handle them, and how they form the entire ecosystem on which one side there is a regulator, there is mandate, on other side there is enterprises with their expectations. So how you bridge this gap?
First of all, let me thank Datuk Mahathir for such a deep and beautiful insight on the regulatory side of his journey and give us a deeper understanding of what challenges and all. From the enterprise side, with my experience of the last 10 years into e-invoicing, enabling e-invoicing for enterprises in different geographies, I've classified the business challenges into three main categories. The first category is the pre-implementation era, where awareness about the mandate, understanding of the rules that the tax authority is trying to enable through these mandates, and enabling the business specific cases. So that's the pre implementation phase. During the implementation phase, there are certain decisions that needs to be made, and the challenges while we take those decisions, and the post implementation. When we talk about the pre implementation, where you're talking about the awareness of the mandate really needs to be in all structures of the organization, right from the top tier to the bottom of the hierarchy, where everybody is aware of what this mandate is all about, understanding what is e-invoicing, what is PayPal, if at all the organization is picking up the route of going digital using PayPal, and understanding the various fields that are required to be submitted to the government on through these mandates, and what is the impact if anything goes wrong, right? What is the impact to the business on this? So getting complete awareness is the first requirement on this level. As we go deeper into the awareness aspect of it, there are certain industry specific implementations that needs to be provided. For example, when is the mandate being applicable for that specific industry? What are the type of transactions that needs to be enabled? What are the effective, who's going to issue, the issuer part of the transaction needs to be aware. So for example, healthcare industry, as Rahul mentioned, that it's going to get started from 1st April 2025. The kind of transactions that needs to be implemented are B2B, B2C, individual or consolidated type of transactions, self-billed invoices, or exempted type of invoices. All of these type of invoices needs to be complied when you're implementing the e-invoicing for that industry. Apart from the industry specific implementation, there are some business specific cases which needs to be identified and deeply studied, more about the reimbursements, the disbursements, statement of bill, dividend distribution transactions. All of these transactions may have a deeper impact on your e-invoice implementation. So studying these specific aspects for specific company and enabling those transactions at that level is very critical. This is all about pre-implementation, study, analysis, understanding, getting the enterprise on the same page on all these aspects. While implementation, it's a change management, right? When you're adding an implementation or adding a a process to the existing running machine, you need to enable people, you need to enable processes, you need to enable the technologies. That's how you'll be able to do the proper change management of this mandate. So hand holding people, enabling them to understand them, training them, giving them the right perspective of this mandate, that is the first level of the enabling people for change management. Apart from that, enabling processes with complex workflows, approval processes through these mechanisms have to be also re-implemented with this new mandate. And then enabling technology to ensure that the IT systems are aligned to get the right data that needs to be submitted to the LHDN. That is the critical aspect of it. So we have to make sure that all these aspects are properly thought through. They've made the right modifications to these parts, and that's how we need to ensure the implementation has to go through. Beyond this, there are two ways while the choices that you make during implementation. Certain implementation poses incompatible digital exchange of trade information, which is you just send the information to LHDN and LHDN sends you the response, but this information is right within yourself. Now, enabling digital exchange of trade information across to different organizations, across within the same country or across borders, where Datuk Mahdi sir talked about PayPal implementation, which enables the global best practices to be implemented in a country, in a company. So this is based on your company's vision on the global market or global presence they're going to go into, or the plans they want to get into, and implementing this early in stage will enable your overall company's growth based on this. So choice of what you do now is going to impact your future. Ongoing regulatory updates. Now, as you see, different sectors of industries are getting mandated, and they have a different timeline of getting mandated. So enabling different transaction types for those industries, change of API versions that keep updating as you see implementation going through, a lot of people adapting to this change. There are going to be instances where new API versions are going to be released, and we need to ensure these new API versions are adhered to and adapted and implemented into the enterprises. This is till the implementation. During post implementation, certain implementations actually are incomplete or incorrect, so that they effectively are exposed to litigations or re-implementation of solutions. So those are the kind of post-implementation issues that we have come across, where companies have to re-implement certain things because it was not properly implemented in the first way. Apart from that, you have to also ensure, since you're working with your customers and vendors, your vendors have to also ensure your vendors are complying to the required norms, because at the end of it, you're receiving those invoices from them, and they have to be proper invoices. So ensuring the invoices are proper, ensuring if they're not fraudulent of any sort. So that those are the kind of challenges that we solve, or we see that needs solving at that time.
Okay. So great, Paresh, and thanks for sharing your global expertise and the business side of the problem statement, what enterprise face and how service providers solve this challenges, right? But now let me go to Nilesh, right? Because Paresh has highlighted one key thing, the technology part of the change management, right? So what are the technological change management aspects, right? And how do you see the technological evolving from here? And what are the key KRAs or key aspects which CIO should take care of in this entire mandate and the adoption process during the invoice mandate? So Nilesh, if you can take us through your expertise and deep and throw some lights on the technological front.
Okay. So as Mr. Datuk and actually Paresh highlighted, right, you should look at e-invoicing mandate as an opportunity for digital transformation. And that digital transformation doesn't kind of limit to just e-invoicing. It can actually be extended further to a automation or digital transformation of the finance function in general. So while there are common like system engineering parameters which are common across most digital transformations, I will highlight a few points which are key for and specific to e-invoicing. So first being kind of seamless integration with the ERP. So these e-invoicing systems typically need to be closely integrated with these ERP systems, which can basically enable a touchless data flow. The touchless data flow will eventually mean automation, will eventually mean less error-prone entries and better financial acumen. Other than that, these ERP systems should also be supporting system interoperability. Mr. Datuk mentioned about API connectivity. So ERP systems that allow for API connectivity basically would mean it allows to extend the capability of your ERP to support e-invoicing, as well as eventually support an end-to-end invoice creation to clearance kind of functionality. ERPs generally should support some open standards and data formats. Paresh and Mr. Datuk spoke about PayPal. So if you have cross-border transactions, again, adopting a standard or like PayPal would just allow you to seamlessly integrate two different offices, probably having two different ERPs, and still adhering to the mandate and the regulations. So that's on the ERP side of it. But beyond the ERP, there are other critical regulatory matters like data security. Now, a lot of sensitive financial data is currently passing through the systems. So how do you really ensure those kind of security? So here, security needs to be implemented on data right from in transit as well as at rest. Now, that can be done by using good encryption techniques as well as digital signatures to ensure that the authenticity and the integrity of the data that is being flowing in these systems is being maintained. Such end-to-end integration, end-to-end encryption, along with implementing something like multi-factor authentication is a must in order to meet these regulatory needs. Apart from data security, the other aspect is also data migration. Now, you already have an ERP that is functioning and your business processes in place. How do you move to this new e-invoicing systems while still being in operation? So that's where data migration needs to be strategies need to be carefully thought about, right? Two parallel systems would need to be maintained such that both of them remain available and stay in sync while these migration activities are taking place, and while it can be confirmed that the e-invoicing systems have been implemented perfectly and are working accurately. In case there is anything, a proper rollback strategy also should be implemented so that in case of failures, you can, without disruption, you can still go back to your normal ERP systems without disrupting your business function. Regulatory bodies also require you to retain the data. So data retention and auditability becomes a key aspect while building such systems. Extensive auditability needs to be put in place such that all the activities or changes are being recorded and can be used in the future for regulatory bodies, which is submitting into regulatory bodies in case they ask for it, for detecting any kind of security breaches, even for troubleshooting any technical issues if there are. Beyond this, also, most of these regulatory bodies require you to retain the data for a specific period of time. So appropriate BCDR procedures or backup and disaster recovery procedures also need to be in place such that that data can be availed and you can still remain compliant. So that's on the data side of it. As you continue to grow, as your business continues to grow, you also need to ensure that the systems scale along with your business. So in general, I definitely recommend a practice of building or adopting to cloud native systems. Now, cloud native systems basically allow you to leverage the infrastructure benefits of horizontal scaling or by provisioning additional resources on the fly. And my final point for this would be choosing the right vendor and technical support. This is a key point because you definitely want to ensure that the transformation journey is very smooth and can be managed very effectively while still staying compliant. So it is crucial then to choose the appropriate e-invoicing vendor partner here who can basically support the capability of working with your existing ERP system out of the box and provide ongoing updates and support while you implement the e-invoicing solution as well as post-implementation of the e-invoicing solution. So yeah, These are the key parameters I believe that are important for the invoicing.
Thanks, Nilesh, for sharing such a wonderful insights. I'm sure a lot of CIOs are listening to your advices, what you have highlighted here. So, Paresh, one quick question to you, basis what Nilesh has highlighted and what Datuk has highlighted. So, there are companies, right, in the initial phase between August to November, there was some initial hiccups in getting the right implementation done, getting the invoice, status known to them, how it is getting stored again back to their ERP. So, of course, API is one way, but then is there anything beyond which service providers should do to streamline this entire API status and then the business specific parameters? Because so far is the compliance specific parameters only which got talked about. But then what about the business specific parameters? What typically companies were doing in the previous invoices, maybe in terms of custom PDF, their logo or custom fields, whatever. So how you handle this kind of additional business specific challenges, which goes beyond regulatory framework? If you can throw some lights on that.
Yes, so we've seen this as a common challenge across our implementations in various years, because initially when the government has initiated a mandate, it has its own process of getting to a maturity cycle. Until the maturity cycle is achieved, there are a lot of support systems that are required in place that enables enterprises to really go through this at the initial stages of mandate. But beyond that, as well as enterprises use this mandate as an ongoing process, they require certain flexibility in terms of having collaborative teams to work on using this mandate or systems that will enable this mandate. It requires data to be flown between systems or between different teams of the financial departments to ensure this data is available to them to work and take decisions based on the data that they have. So just beyond the APIs that connecting to the LHD and enabling this e-invoicing, there's a whole lot of different system that is going to require, because the journey of any country that starts with e-invoicing as a mandate does not stop there. It just goes beyond that as a continuous digitization journey. It gets into the return filing digitization. It gets into dispatch notification digitization. It also gets into the input tax credit reconciliation and digitization on those fronts. And effectively, the government is constantly monitoring and managing these parameters at their end, because you're submitting this data to them. So they have these analytics at their end that is constantly running. And based on that, if any flaws or if any anomalies they come across, they're going to start issuing notices based on that. So all of this is effectively a consequence of improper implementation. But if it is properly implemented, the digitization journey can be really smooth, because an upcoming digitization framework should be readily available to enable these upcoming needs from that line.
Sure. Thanks, Chris, for taking some of the local challenges what we are hearing across. So now, next question to Datuk, right? Basis what Paresh has just highlighted. So Datuk, if you can take us through the journey, what is the future scenario, right? So when you're at MDEC, so what is the next 5 to 10 years unique vision which you have thought about, and how do you see how this is getting implemented right now? And probably next 10 years, how the Malaysia will be. If you can throw some light on the future vision beyond
Thanks, Rahul. I think with regards to the digital transformation, when we look at the overview of Malaysia's transformation towards digital, I think there's a lot more that can be done. The reason why I put up Malaysia Digital to replace Multimedia Super Corridor or MSE was very much along the lines of trying to get a lot of the digitalization initiatives, programs, or projects happening across multiple sectors. So again, I very much like the approach that has been done in India, I think the stacking with what India has done, starting with the ID and then to the payment systems, and then you add all the other applications on top of that. So that has provided a good roadmap, so to speak, or even a template for other countries to either benchmark against or even follow in some cases. So again, the way we've done it in Malaysia is a bit different. I think we were hit in some, and then it sort of tapered to a plateau maybe over the years. So again, we are rebooting how we are doing it. Right now, we look at e-invoicing as to digitalize the businesses first rather than the people. The people will take on its own trajectory through the digital ID, if I'm not mistaken, currently led by MIMOS and also under the Ministry of MOSTI, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. And this has to converge into one where businesses would have an ID on their own, and then the people themselves, individuals, would have IDs that can merge and form a much better and comprehensive view of how digital Malaysia is. There are applications that we can think of with regards to the kind of infrastructure that we have and have added so far. Again, Malaysia is one of the hottest how should I say this, hottest area and also destination for data center investments and data center setup. So again, a lot of what's happening mostly down south in Johor and also in other parts of Klang Valley like Cyberjaya and also even Kuala Lumpur PJ, and now expanding eastward and northwards as well. These are fundamentals of a good and healthy and robust digital economy ecosystem. So there's not enough words that can elaborate the kind of criticality of having those kind of infrastructure in place in order for us to be able to achieve so much more. So MCMC under the Ministry of Communications are looking at the connectivity and ensuring that everyone and every business out there, including the higher learning institutions and schools and colleges, to be able to be part of this digital transformation as well. We can talk about applications, we can talk about many things, but yet without without having a clear access to data, without having reliable and I think good enough connectivity, not much can happen, unfortunately. So we've seen areas such as East Malaysia, the Sabah and Sarawak, who are struggling to actually keep up with the Peninsula Malaysia to actually do this. So again, the vision of the next 5 to 10 years is very much, I think, working on expanding the fundamentals, which is the infrastructure, and this could be hard infrastructure like data center and also connectivity, submarine cables, and things like that. And there's also the soft infrastructure that we think, and this is where you look at areas such as guidelines, regulations, and even legislation as well to ensure that data can be transacted, data can be shared safely, and then the thinking of having cybersecurity to be able to protect all that. We are sharing quite a fair bit, I think, of information with just e-invoicing. But imagine having businesses going even more digital today. I'm looking at this, the global compliance evolution with regards to businesses. They might not have the roadmap now, but they can have the roadmap provided that they have all this infrastructure is in place. But you have to have a clear perimeter and fencing and protection to ensure that they are fully confident that the information that they share is in place at the moment. So again, I think the Malaysia Digital Economy roadmap or blueprint has somewhat some of those aspirations and targets that has been put in place. I wasn't particularly happy with it. I think that there's a lot more that can be done with regards to the blueprint, and there's more tangible stuff that should be put in there to ensure that we know, Malaysia knows where it stands with regards to regulations. I know the talk right now is very much on how we don't need the data center investments anymore, and things like that. But yet, I think on the other side of these things, there are people crying out, Malaysia should be leading AI and things like this. I think that is basically talking and contradicting itself at the same time. You cannot have your AI running while you're not having the data center in place. So someone needs to have an oversight of all these things and really provide a clear view and also roadmap with regards to where Malaysia should go with regards to digitalization. So again, the potential, as what do you call that? The previous panelists have already said, are all there for us to expand not just e-invoicing, but beyond e-invoicing, digitalization, other aspects of business transformation towards digital and things like that. And there's many things that we can do. And even e-invoicing, you can just expand into many things, which I think can invoke into pricing mechanism, price control for control items during holiday season like Chinese New Year, Hari Raya, Deepavali, and things like that. So these are the kind of things that are happening in Malaysia. I'm sure they happen also in other countries within ASEAN as well. So if Malaysia wants to be able to create and have a regional or even global technology ecosystem, it needs to be able to see that way and not so much of a localized view of things. Yeah, generally, I think what I can summarize was that Malaysia has a plan. It's not good enough. I think that's why they need input from the industry, from people like companies who have done it in other countries, to be able to nudge and also provide a different kind of view of how it has been done in other countries and how Malaysia should relook at how it's doing its things. We have had tech parks being developed first in Cyberjaya and things like that. These are very, I think, how should I say this, built, and you hope that people will come and fill it. I don't think that's the right way to approach this. The tech industry has leapfrogged so many things and changed and disrupted so many businesses. I think a few days ago, I read about DeepSeek, the Chinese AI, and I think that's China giving a clear, I think, signal to the US. Yes, you may have not, or you may have put us in some other countries in different tiers and not sharing the technology, but we have our own, and we can do we can do it much cheaper than you can. So and that's how fast things change, I think, globally with regards to digital and technology. So again, having a 5-year plan is good, but you must be ready and must be open enough to be able to review what needs to be done on yearly basis, and not just changing the targets or adding some numbers on the KPI. I think we are looking at this compliance, the way we comply will also be changing as well. So again, this is where multinationals and companies from outside can contribute towards this and have and help Malaysia to actually form a much better roadmap and view in terms of how it wants to do its digital transformation.
Thanks, Datuk, for sharing the wonderful insight on the future roadmap. So right now, anyway, I'm putting up for our listeners, right? So all the global case studies, how Brazil has gone and done about it, Mexico, or Tatuk has touched about India case study. So I wanted to just say, like Malaysia, and as Datuk has highlighted, this is the it is just the beginning, right? And lot more things needs to be done in terms of the digital evolution, which starts this journey starts from e-Invoice, of course, right? So now, my next question to you, Paresh, like looking how all of these countries have evolved in terms of digitization over the next 5 to 7 years period, which Datuk has talked about, or what global case studies we have. So, can you tell us how the enterprises should manage this evolution?
So this is actually a very known fact that every country, as it goes through this evolution, is bringing in new, transformation initiatives and mechanisms to enable better transparency, better communication, better collaboration between government and the enterprises and the citizens as well. So, having said that, these initiatives are going to add up to a more digital transformation journeys for enterprises as well. And as we've seen, and certain Deloitte study also mentions that a lot of CFOs across the world are highlighting one major challenge when we're doing that is the 64% of the CFOs are highlighting that inadequate solutions or systems are the key reasons or the pain areas they're suffering with today. Okay, so what does it really mean? So what has happened is over the period, as we see initiatives coming up, best of breed or independent solutions are developed and they are used by the enterprises as and how they come into picture. As these solutions are being used, there is a challenge of interoperability of data, availability of collaboration between different teams and things like that. So a more reactive approach is what has been taken up by enterprises so far. What I would recommend is go as a more proactive approach where look at the overall requirement and envision a little journey and try to identify platform level implementation rather than a solution level implementation, where a platform can enable the scaling of what you are going to get in the future, enable you data flow, enable you collaboration, enable data driven decision making. A lot of these values are extracted out of these platforms, and platform based implementation really helps you in ensuring a single system connecting and collaborating with the existing systems as well, and enabling a stronger team and an empowered team for the organization.
Sure. So thanks Paresh for sharing the entire journey and the ecosystem level insights, how the future roadmaps and like the implementations are getting implemented with some of the surveys. So now also another very interesting question what Datuk has said. So I want to come back to you, Nilesh. Uh, Addressing the AIs and the recent developments, right? What is happening? So in fact, Malaysia has taken a huge leap in framing the NAIO, right, which is the National Artificial Intelligence Office, right, and which has been inaugurated, I believe, in 12th of December last year, and I'm sure Malaysia will see the benefit of this AI adoption, right? And of course, couple with data center, the framework which Datuk has said, this is how the Malaysia is working towards. So, can you throw some light that how this AI will contribute to support this entire enterprise ecosystem? What Paresh has highlighted, right? And how this data flows across, and if you can throw some more lights on data and AI.
Sure. Okay, Ram. So yes, I completely agree with Mr. Datuk on having relevant and accurate data as well as having the data centers in place. So data is really the new oil for enterprises, right? And for the enterprises, if they want to kickstart any of their AI initiatives, it is of paramount importance that they get their data in place or their data practices in place. Now, what does that mean? Basically, it's about ensuring you have appropriate data governance, your data architectures in place, their metadata management, data security, and any kind of BI, which is analytics and reporting, is all put in place. Once your data is taken care of, that's when you can embark on the AI journey, because AI without the relevant data is going to be quite ineffective. So as we work with a lot of enterprises, we generally strongly suggest them to always go for smaller quick wins rather than quite a lot of big bang approach on AI. Now, how that is really helpful is because you also have to ensure that you propagate AI internally, kind of get stakeholder buy-in, and build that confidence with these smaller wins. That's how that journey can basically help you showcase ROI to your stakeholders and management. Now, while AI has already gone mainstream into various different business functions, right from marketing to finance to sales, supply chain, customer support, and HR, I'll narrow down my conversation primarily around the finance side of it, considering this is more of a conversation on e-invoicing. So overall, if you what we've observed is there is a change of CFO perspective now to look at finance. Finance was initially just being looked at as a cost center, and whatever gains were only looked at as productivity gains. But with AI, this is now being looked at as an enabler for growth in terms of different features and functions that can now be put in place using these technologies. I'll cover some of the trends that we've observed, basically, which can lead to building a data-driven organization here. So typically, the financial reporting and trend analysis, that's something which is getting transformed. Basically, examining those market dynamics and developing forecast or predicting forecasts, predicting future performance, financial performance based on some of the data that is available. Similarly, market sentiment analysis, where you are basically using other parameters or other aspects of the market dynamics and baking it into your decision making and trying to predict how your sales or how your revenue would get affected through that. Risk evaluation as well, basically assessing any kind of hazards linked to different financial tools or approaches, even kind of using some of the external data to kind of decision making on some of your strategic initiatives, your GTM strategy, kind of optimizing your strategy based on that data that is available. AI helps you basically helps you give those alternate insights that can be used for decision making. Then there is also enterprises can go for a better asset allocation strategy, which is basically where do you invest, what is the right amount of investment. These are again based on different data points and analyzing a bunch of data and coming up with such insights. Now that's a bit on what kind of predictions or what kind of risks can be managed. Apart from that, the other finance related activities like expense management, optimizing the experience both for employees and vendors using self-service assistants, then reconciliation, like automation functions like automated reconciliations for back office functions. That's another aspect where AI is currently transforming finance. Now, in summary, if I have to sum it up, as an approach, I recommend that, okay, we should always start with assessing the readiness of an organization to basically get into a AI initiative. That can easily be done by engaging with an AI expert who can help you discover, deliver, and adopt some of these real use cases with well-defined measurable KPIs for value realization.
Okay. So thanks, Nilesh, for sharing such wonderful insights on the latest buzzword AI. Right. So now I would like to go back to Datuk for the conclusion of this webinar, because we have almost overshot the time. So Datuk, if you can conclude and sum up, what role do you think that regulators, authorities, and various ministries should play in accelerating the Malaysia's digital agenda, which has been highlighted and discussed? Maybe concluding remarks from you, Datuk.
Well, in short, I think the government and it's not only federal, but including state government and local authorities as well. I think there's a big role for them to play. For the federal government, there's always about putting up the kind of initiatives or interventions, rather, that would facilitate new types of investments, new types of opportunities that can be created through digitalization and digital transformation. So this means that allowing and establishing, I think, what we call green lanes right now to help investors spend more time and channel their resources towards investing into the right things that they want to do. So when we look at this, I know some parts of the government right now is going out telling people that we have legislation, laws for this and that and things like that. That is fine. But the problem is, having a set of laws means that you have a set of tools, but the project has not been done yet. So not much can be said about actual achievements. We didn't, at MDEC, we didn't count having or signing up to be a PayPal authority means that the work is done. It means that it allows us to do a lot more with people like you and with the industry as well as they embark on the digitalization journey. So I think that's how we should be able to look at this. The second part is to also, as governments and federal governments, we have to look at establishing new catalytic projects that would spark and create new kind of projects or programs that can nudge the industry towards digitalization. So again, ID or something that we did in MDEC on tourism through the digital nomad. E-invoicing is one of them, but there's a lot more. Social innovation has not been touched and been focused as much as it should. You look at a lot of countries in the Europe, and I just came back from I think France only a couple of days ago. And you can see how the community and the social innovation is driving the ecosystems that they develop and build over there. And this is not new. This is something that they have done for the good part of the last 10 years. So similarly, if I like to use the Indian example, the Indian example of ID as well. And that is very much on social cost as well. You're trying to actually get to the payments to the right people and help the right people out there. So much can be done at the federal government, and state governments would also look at the interests of the people that they have within their constituents. So these are the aspects that they would look at federal first, and then see what else that they can enhance to do that. As far as local authorities, I'll be a bit more critical to them because they are, I think, the most detached from the digital journey for a lot of companies. Even in my, I think not, let's not even go to e-wallets and things like that. But I think even in my days at previous companies like Cyberview and Futurize, it's very hard for them to see how they actually contribute to the development of a healthy tech ecosystem within their vicinity as well. So, which in turn made them lose the kind of talents to other townships like Kuala Lumpur, like Johor and Johor to Singapore as well. So we have to look at creating the right ecosystems that would make people stay, that would make people contribute, and that would make people generate new businesses, have economic activities, and create new things. At the end of the day, digital economy is still economy. At the end of the day, e-invoicing leads to more transactions and allow for businesses to be transacted securely and with information being shared between businesses, and for governments to be able to know what kind of transactions that have happened and also understand the health of the economy within that particular constituent or country as well. So I think this would be a part where everyone has to understand the industry cannot push this on their own. The government cannot do it on their own, and the people cannot be sitting back and not participate and expect everything to be incentivized before they embark on anything else. So, which is to say, we have to look at what people commonly refer to as the triple helix before this, the government, academia, and also businesses. I would call it a quadruple helix, which includes the community and the NGOs and all the social organizations as well. It is an economy that we are trying to create, and it happens to be digital. And digital would be the, I think, the generator or the engine of our future economies as well, and data would be the oil. So if I can summarize it that way, then I think I hope I think the viewers and the people as well can also understand that we are all in this together and trying to create something good for the future. Thanks.
Wonderful, Datuk, for your concluding remarks. So now we're opening the discussions for Q&A. So let me take up some of the already questions which has been put up. So the first question is for Nilesh. So Nilesh, you mentioned about choosing the right vendor. So can you suggest the key parameters to consider while selecting the appropriate vendor?
Yeah. Okay. So, in general, the parameters that I spoke about, which most e-invoicing systems should already have, I think those are all of the parameters you should look at while evaluating your e-invoicing vendor. So that's one. But apart from that, I would go a step beyond to look at their domain expertise of around finance, because like I said, this is just the first part or first piece of the puzzle of the digital transformation, and this can actually lead to automating and improving the finance function in general. So the expertise of the vendor in finance and what other suite of products they have in finance is something that I would look for. And additionally, another key aspect is the technical support. What kind of SLAs are they committing to for the technical support, both during and post the implementation? Because that's, again, like I mentioned, quite a key parameter to ensure, uh, uh, appropriate transformation without having hiccups.
Thanks, Nilesh, for the insights. Now the next question is to you, Paresh. What role does leadership within the enterprise play in driving the successful adoption of e-invoicing, and how can CEO and CFOs align on this transformation?
Yes. So I think a very critical role indeed. CEOs and CFOs are first required to align the entire organization structure, get them to get the awareness of the entire mandate in all segments and levels of the organization. It is very critical. As everybody gets aligned to one objective, then the task of implementation becomes quite easier. Beyond getting the alignment of people in place, which is getting all the segments of people aligned, they have to also look at how the kind of processes are going to be aligned to the existing processes that we have going on in the organization. So they have to really identify what would be the effective change and how they would look at this effective change being implemented across various functions, and look at the domain specific understanding or the industry specific understanding of the compliance requirement from the LSDN side. So in getting to the depth of what type of transactions, what type of elements that needs to be enabled, what type of parameters and fields that needs to be submitted, very critical, because if any mistake in this level can cause a severe mistake on an ongoing basis and effectively lead to a failure of implementation. So critical part of it is to get everybody aligned, get the specifics of the industry aligned, get the expert to help in aligning these various parameters, understand the various other types of transactions that needs to be enabled for e-invoicing, and effectively enable the change management.
Okay, thanks, Paresh, for answering this question. So, audience, any more questions from your end? Maybe you can take up directly with the panelists here. Is there any further questions? Okay, so then I think there are no further questions for the panelists. So I would like to thank all the esteemed panelists and all the attendees for having this wonderful session. And I'm sure a lot has been learned from these wonderful discussions, and I'm sure this will form the basis for further actions taken, be it in terms of adopting Invoice or in terms of aligning their future roadmaps, going for the ecosystem level solutions, basis the upcoming mandates and the processes and the technological innovations which has been discussed. So it's a pleasure me personally moderating the sessions with all the esteemed panelists, and a big thanks to all the registered people, those who have taken their precious time out to attend this webinar and make it a good, successful event. So thanks all.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Thanks, Rahul.
Thank you.
thanks, Datuk.
Right.
Yeah, thanks. So bye to everyone.